apologizing, and no, he won't be changing his ways on how he responds to controversy. And today he is knocking the mainstream media for twisting his words and using it against him. In moments, former Speaker Newt Gingrich is here. But first, Donald Trump on the record and responding to the outcry over his comments that Second Amendment people need to stop Secretary Hillary Clinton from winning the White House and appointing Supreme Court justices. You're getting a little heat over this Second Amendment comment that you made. And, in fact, Senator Elizabeth Warren, who is a supporter of Secretary Clinton, tweeted, "Real Donald Trump," that's your Twitter handle, "makes death threats because he's a pathetic coward who can't handle the fact that he's losing to a girl." Your response to that?
Well, look, you know what I think of her. She's not much, believe me, not much. And a lot of other people know she's been a totally ineffective senator. Everyone knows it. I will say this. What I said was absolutely, everybody was there. They heard it. They thought it was fine. Rudy Giuliani actually was there. He defended it this morning and said it was absolutely fine. What we're talking about is political power. There's tremendous political power to save the Second Amendment. Tremendous. And you look at, the power they have in terms of votes, and that's what I was referring to. Obviously, that's what I was referring to, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. And
so
I have to tell you, the NRA came out.
It wasn't a bad joke.
The NRA came out.
Yeah, I mean, let me just ask you. Speaker Ryan thought it was just a bad joke. What you're saying is that this was an intentional statement about the power of the Second Amendment advocates. Is that what you're saying?
No, Speaker Ryan didn't say it because I think they just asked him about it. He didn't know about it, and they just said, well, maybe, look, this is showing the power that people have for the Second Amendment. There's a lot of power for the Second Amendment. They want to be able to keep their guns. They don't want them taken away. Hillary Clinton wants to have the guns taken away. You look at what her agenda is, and if she starts appointing judges and other things that she wants to do, she's very much against guns. And I'm a very pro-Second Amendment person, and there are a lot of people that agree with me. And frankly, if you look at all of the comments this morning, I mean, the comments have been tremendous on that statement, and it's really awoken people having to do with the Second Amendment and the voting power they have as a bloc. It's tremendous. The NRA came out with some very positive statements last night and this morning. People want the Second Amendment protected. It's very important, and they have a lot of power in doing it, voting power.
Now, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, is here to go on the record. Nice to see you, Mr. Speaker.
Good to be with you.
And, of course, he pivoted to the NRA issue and the Second Amendment. But what he's getting heat for is the comment that he made about the Second Amendment and Secretary Clinton. Your thoughts?
I think this is such garbage, it's unbelievable. And, of course, what happens is a reporter runs up to Paul Ryan, gives him the reporter's version, and given him the reporter's version, Ryan then responds. Every Republican should learn this will be the most decisively one-sided news coverage in American history, and that you would assume every day that people are going to take Trump on and are going to try to distort what he said. I saw what he said. I read what he said. I thought the coverage the first couple hours was an absurdity, and then they, of course, spent the last 24 hours on it. By the way, if you look at what Strickland said, which is clear on tape, and which he said to a huge audience about being happy that Scalia died, it is pretty bizarre by comparison.
Well, as you might imagine, the Democrats, many of them are scandalizing, giving him a lot of heat. And to be fair and balanced, here's what happened in 2008 when Secretary Clinton was running against then-Senator Obama for the nomination, and this is what she said.
My husband did not wrap up the nomination in 1992 until he won the California primary somewhere in the middle of June. Right? We all remember Bobby Kennedy was assassinated in June in California.
Ouch. She got a lot of heat then because the implication was that she should stay in the race in case then-Senator Obama were assassinated.
Well, again, I think I suspect she was in a stream of consciousness memory. I don't think she was suggesting that Barack Obama was going to get assassinated.
But we all jump on it.
Of course. Look, the news media is always going to jump. This is a year when they're going to jump 80 or 90% of the time on Donald Trump and 5 or 10% of the time on Hillary Clinton. And we just have to understand that's the business we're going to be in for the next 90 days.
All right, well, let's bring in then-Senator, now President Obama. Today, John Cass, who is a columnist with the Chicago Tribune, tweeted this. Obama also joked about rubbing out his opponents the Chicago way. If they bring a knife to the fight, we bring a gun. Obama, Philly, 2008. So they all say it. They all do it.
They all do it. By the way, as long as we're going to talk about Chicago for 1 second, 9 people were killed in Chicago on Monday. This president has had over 3,400 people killed in his hometown since he was sworn in, more than we've lost in Iraq and Afghanistan in the same period. Nobody does anything. Nobody talks about it. It's Hillary Clinton's birthplace. She was born in Chicago. Nobody goes and says, we have got to find a fundamental change. This is about real killings, not about rhetorical language.
And, of course, there's the story that we reported on yesterday where there are gang snipers apparently wanting to kill a cop in Chicago.
Yep.
Anyway. Mr. Speaker, do not go away because we have more with you. Right now, everything that you haven't seen in our interview with Donald Trump, here it is.
We're talking about coal mining, and we're talking about the miners being put out of business and totally put out of business. And as you saw, Hillary wants to put them out of business, wants to put the mines out of business, wants to put a lot of things out of business, and we're not going to let it happen. So we have a lot of mining equipment behind us and around us, and we have a lot of equipment that's not being used because the mines are in very bad shape.
I know the criticism of Secretary Clinton about mining, it erupted, I think, in March, but back in November she did put forward an energy program that I think I think perhaps more people might have thought it was not so anti-miner. She did have a program. I'm curious for you, do you have any sort of concerns about the environmental impact of mining, and do you have any concerns about the danger to the miners who work down below in these mining in these mines?
Well, the miners want to work, and they want to do it. That's what they love. In fact, I've asked them, you know, in West Virginia, where we had such a tremendous turnout and tremendous returns, I spoke with the miners. That's what they love to do. And the safety now is really, you know, they've really brought it to a new level. So it's really wonderful from that standpoint. But that's what they want to do. They want to be miners. And Clinton said not so long ago, as you know, a few months ago, she wants to put the miners and she wants to put the mines out of business. And it's ridiculous. Then she tried to retract it, but it was a little bit late. And if you remember, she was sitting around a table with a beautiful mining family, a man who's a miner. And she was not very successful, and she certainly was not very successful in West Virginia, that I can tell you. No, she is looking to put them out of business. There's no question about it.
Well, I know the miners are very unhappy with it, but just on a sort of broader perspective, in a Trump presidency, would you be focusing on other alternative forms of energy as well? I'm wondering sort of what your short program is on this.
All forms. Yeah, all forms of energy. I want everything. I mean, frankly, you know, clean coal is really a new thing that really does work. And you look at China, what they're doing with coal. They're using coal, and I doubt they're cleaning it. In fact, they're not cleaning it. But they have technology now that's wonderful. We're just not being able to use it. We are having a tremendous hard time with the environmental protection agencies and all. Federal government is putting a lot of different kinds of industries out of business. But in particular, when you get to energy and the coal and even natural gas is having tremendous problems, we could be energy independent within a very short period of time, but they won't let that happen.
All right, George P. Bush, the son of Governor Jeb Bush, has endorsed you, and that's sort of, you know, that's a member of the Bush family. But at the same time, Maine Republican Senator Susan Collins, she says she's not going to vote for you. So tell me your thoughts about you're getting some Republicans inside the tent, but some Republicans are leaving the tent.
Well, I'm very honored by George P. Bush. I thought that was really terrific. I saw it. And I watched his statement. I thought it was really terrific. I don't know Susan Collins at all. I know nothing. You know, I don't know anything about her. But she came out. But, you know, people don't talk about all the people that are supporting me. We have tremendous support in Congress. We have tremendous support in the Senate. Jeff Sessions as an example. I mean, we have tremendous support in the Senate. And, frankly, you look at the polls, the way they're tightening up, people are starting to get it. And then you look at what's going on with Hillary, with selling government and, you know, all of the things that have come out today on the front page of a lot of the papers. And you look at what she's doing in terms of pay for play and play for pay and all of the different things, and they name it different, you know, all of the different things she's doing. I'm telling you, it's starting to come out. And look at the way the polls are tightening up, and they're tightening up very fast. And I think a place like Virginia, where I am now, or a place like, as an example, Pennsylvania, I think Pennsylvania is going to be very strong for us. Now, she's spending tremendous numbers of dollars, I mean, tremendous amounts of money on ads. In fact, I just got here, and they say ads are all over the place, and I haven't done that yet. We will be doing it, but I haven't done it yet. We've been very successful in raising money from small donors. We're getting $61 a shot. Last month we raised $82 million. We haven't done it yet, but I will say this. I think we're doing very well, and we have a long way to go.
All right, let me turn to the debates, and they're just being set up. I mean, they're being arranged. I happen to like the sort of the concept of the Lincoln-Douglas debates where there's no moderator, but that's just me. I'm curious, you know, do you have any sort of thoughts on how it can be, the debates can be more effectively done for the American voter? How would you like to see them done?
Well, I'd just like to see a fair moderator. That's all I'm looking for, because, you know, we have a lot of very unfair people treating us as Republican and as conservatives. If you're a Republican and a conservative, you get very unfair treatment. Look at what the New York Times said the other day. They practically admitted it. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. They practically admitted it. But you look at the unfair treatment by the media, it's incredible. But the good news is people understand that. People know it's unfair, and I think that maybe will reverberate, and we'll see what happens. But no, I want to do the debates. I did very well in the other debates, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here. And I think we're going to have very good debates. I do think this. I don't think they should put them opposite NFL games, because I think that's really unfair to do that. And, you know, I probably Hillary Clinton would like that, but I don't think they should be opposite NFL games. And I want to see a fair moderator, and whatever else we'll look at. But certainly I want to do the debates.
All right. What about the format, and what about selecting the moderators? Are you going to? I mean, what's sort of the impact? What are your sort of thoughts on that? Are you dealing with the debate commission now? Are you having any part of this?
We've just started. In fact, I think Rudy Giuliani will be working with them, and Paul and a couple of my people. But Rudy will be very much involved in terms of that. I just think we should have them similar maybe to what we did with the Republican debates, except there'll be 2 people instead of ultimately there were 17. I guess in the end we had, what, 17 people we started. We actually had 2 stages, so we don't have to worry about that. But I think that debates between the 2 of us would be very good. I think it would be very interesting. I think it's going to be very revealing for the public, and I look forward to it. But I would think something like what we had with the Republican debates, or what they had with the Democrat debates. I thought that those debates, you know, they had Hillary and they had Bernie, and they were standing up, talking, and I think that's probably about as good as you're going to do. You want to have a fair moderator, that's all.
All right. You mentioned the swing state polls, and I looked at the Quinnipiac polls. It's close in Florida and Ohio, which, of course, is very important to the Republican ticket. Pennsylvania, not so much. The one I saw was I think about a 10-point difference. But what is do you have a ground game? Have you already gotten started on that? What are the plans there?
We do, and I think we're going to do very well in Pennsylvania. I was a little surprised to see a 10-point gap. In Ohio, we're doing well. In Florida, we're doing well. But we haven't really started yet. You know, we haven't started any ads. She's spending a fortune on ads. I mean, I literally came to Virginia, and I had 5 people say, all you see on here is ads. And the ads are false ads, by the way. They're ads that are just absolutely, in many cases, many of the things they say are absolutely false. Not 100%, but much of it. And I will say that I think that's disgraceful. And they know it's false. They know it's false. They're putting on ads where they know some of the things that they're saying are wrong, but they put them on anyway. But we haven't started that process yet, and we will be starting it pretty soon. I think Pennsylvania, with the mines, with the coal miners, with the steel workers, and with how poorly those elements of business are doing, and you know, I think we're going to do very well in Pennsylvania. So I was a little surprised. Now, Pennsylvania hasn't been won by the Republicans for quite a while, but I think we're going to win Pennsylvania. I think we're going to win Pennsylvania easily. Hillary, again, you have a lot of miners in Pennsylvania. You have a lot of steel workers in Pennsylvania. Look at what's happened to steel production in Pennsylvania. Look at what's happened with the mines of Pennsylvania. They're really becoming non-existent. So, and she's totally against them. So I think we're going to do very well in Pennsylvania and all over the state, not just with the 2 industries I talked about.
You've never run for office before. This is the first race you've ever run. What has surprised you the most to date about the process?
How smart the people of this country are, because they're reading false narratives, they're reading false newspaper articles and seeing false things on television, and I mean really biased reporting. And they don't, and you know, here I am. I'm sitting here in a very close race, what will be and what already is shaping up to be a very close race. So the people are so smart. They get it. They really get it. And they're seeing it more and more. And I think they're going to get I think they're going to get a great lesson. And it's not a fair situation. It's a rigged situation. In a certain way, it's rigged by the media, if you think about it. Now, the other day in North Carolina, I was there yesterday, and we had amazing crowds in North Carolina, as you probably noticed. But we were talking about voter ID. Voter ID seems to be eliminated in North Carolina. I think that's, very unfortunate. Voter ID, does that mean that anybody can just go and walk in and vote? That's very unfair. That's very unfair. So we'll be working on that situation with the governor of North Carolina, who is, I think, going to be asking for a stay. But when you see that you don't need identification to go in and vote, or proper identification to go in and vote, a lot of states, fortunately, have been upholding it. But in the case of North Carolina, they didn't. So that's a problem. But look, when I look at the media, how one-sided it is, how biased it is, it's incredible. I mean, it's incredible.
Donald, thank you very much for joining us, and I hope Secretary Clinton joins us as well. We've have invitation. Ohio Governor Ted Strickland is now running for the U.S. Senate in Ohio, and now an audio recording capturing Strickland making a joke about the death of late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia.
My friends, a lot of average citizens out there don't understand the importance of that court. I mean, the death of Scalia saved labor from a terrible decision. And I don't wish anyone ill, but it happened at a good time.
Speaker Gingrich is back, and I should add that since then Strickland has said there was an insensitive remark, and I apologize.
Well, that was nice of him. But he said it to an entire labor audience, and you could hear people laughing about Scalia's death. And it's just unfortunate. I mean, it's, again, how partisan we've become, how polarized we've become. That Strickland could even think of that.
Well, I went into his Twitter account, and this was what troubled me, is that in reference to the Trump comment about the Second Amendment, this is what he tweeted. This is Ted. This is beyond any decency. Trump just suggested someone should shoot Hillary Clinton. Absolutely disgusting. So he finds that absolutely disgusting, but he finds laughing at the death of someone else as
this
funny.
This is also a good illustration. There is nothing in what Donald Trump said that suggests shooting Hillary Clinton. What he just said, and you've seen Democrats all over the country do this, they take a Trump statement, then they leap out to here, then they condemn this thing out here, which was not in Trump's statement.
Well, this is what Secretary Clinton said in part today. She said, let me say something that I think is critical difference between my opponent and myself. Words matter, my friends. So I'm interested to see what she says about the words of the Senate candidate Strickland in a key swing state that could shift the power in the Senate.
You were very good at keeping people calm and reasonable on this show, so I'm going to try to respond in a calm and reasonable way. For a candidate who is a liar, who lies about lying, who as recently as this morning had emails revealed indicating that they were selling the Secretary of State's offices in order to raise money, for her to say words matter is bizarre. I mean, she's done nothing all year except lie. How could she possibly think words matter if she doesn't use any words that are honest?
Can I just say one thing? Everybody hates lawyers, but lawyers, I mean, we don't hold a candle to this kind of stuff. Where everyone is saying the worst, we're saying things about each other both ways. It's like, and everybody, and they always get caught. All the politicians get caught because we have cameras, we have tweets, we got everything.
Right, that's crazy.
Anyway, Mr. Speaker, thank you. And